Hi, this is Ray Peck. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the up-and-coming rematch fight between David Haye and Tony Bellew. I was going to say the much-anticipated fight between these two rematch, but I actually don't think it is that anticipated. Taking nothing away from the first time they met, which was absolutely brilliant. A really good fight for the armchair viewers. I think they pretty much peaked in terms of pre-match hype, pre-fight hype, animosity, so on and so forth. You know, the build-up to the first fight was just incredible. And there was lots of insults thrown either way. There was lots of bad feeling between both fighters. And, you know, before I look at what's going to happen this fight, if it happens, and I'll come back to that in a minute, let's just take a brief recap of what happened in the first fight. So after all the hype, the big build-up, they met at the O2 in London, and from round one, it was a free-for-all. Bellew came out swinging big shots, looking for the early knockout. Everybody expected Haye to do that, and he sort of tried that. But for me, just watching that fight, he left himself wide open very, very early on. It was as if his emotions had got the better of him on this fight, and he had forgotten everything he had learned in the gym, in all the sparring and the training. It just seemed to have left that behind him, and just, you know, it was almost a man possessed, saying, come on, let's have it. It's you and me, let's do it. Let's do this here. Forget everything we've been taught. Let's just punch it out. Which was his downfall, because there's absolutely no doubt about it in my mind that David Haye is a phenomenal boxer. He's very fast, he's very agile, he's very strong. You know, he's probably, and I think Bellew called him this after the fight, he's probably the if not one of the best cruiserweights, natural cruiserweights in the world. But as a heavyweight, he's never quite cut it, has he? His performances have not been fantastic. He seems to be injury prone as well. Whether they're real or not, that's another, somebody's opinion. So this fight is really, if you think about it, should have been made for Haye, because although they were fighting at heavyweight, Haye being a natural cruiserweight should have used those skills and that speed and everything that he had. I thought he should have been able to take Bellew. I'm taking nothing away from Anthony Bellew. He was phenomenal on the night. He gave it all. But what you have to remember is this. I think it was round 4 or 5. I can't remember which round it was now. Haye twisted his knee, seemed to twist his knee, which we all know now was an Achilles tendon. But it looked like it twisted his knee. And he looked pretty much there for the taking. Went down on his knees 3 times, I think. Now, a man who's in that position, fighting pretty much on one leg, I think I could knock him out, And Tony Bellew failed to do that. He failed to capitalise on an opportunity that was there in front of him. And, I think one of the reasons he failed to capitalise on that opportunity was not in no small part was that due to Haye's defensive and boxing ability. He suddenly, his brain switched on and he knew what to do once he was in trouble. He knew what he needs to do to protect himself and to stay out of trouble. And he managed to do that for a further 6 or 7 rounds until, he had no more, and the inevitable happened in round 11 when his corner threw the towel in after he'd been knocked through the ropes. Now, again, as I said earlier, I'm taking nothing away from Tony Bellew. it's emerged since that fight that Bellew was fighting from with a broken hand from pretty early on in the fight. So you could actually argue the point for Bellew that, well, the reason he couldn't finish him off was because of the pain in his hand, but he did manage to finish him off, I guess, in round 11. So it doesn't really wash with me. So my overall summary of that fight would be that Bellew deserved the win on the night, but for the majority of that fight, he was fighting a very, very weakened David Haye, who, in my opinion, up to that point, I had Haye in front. That's a matter of opinion, but to me, he looked in control. After that opening round where he was very wild, he sort of checked himself a little bit and started to box. And I thought, he's in control here, and then we all know what happens. So that brings us on to the rematch, which is on December the 17th, 2017, at the O2. Again, it's sure to be a sellout. It's sure to be a very lively atmosphere outside of the ring with the two sets of fans. And obviously you get your undercard with all the other fights, and they all bring their own fans. So, I've been to, I think, 3 or 4 now of fights at the O2. I've seen Anthony Joshua there a few times, and the atmosphere is always phenomenal. It's always buzzing. But the actual fight itself, there hasn't been the build-up yet, and I know we've got another almost over a month and 2 days, I think. But while I'm recording this, I think it's a month and 2 days before they actually meet. So I guess we'll start to see the real pre-bout hype will probably start to begin in the next week or two. And then there'll be the war of words and the weigh-ins and the press conferences, etc., etc., etc. But I just think that because they've met before, they've got all the bad blood out of their system, and I think there's a bit more respect between the two fighters now. Sorry about that. The one thing that's gonna, I think, change, one thing that's going to be different is that I think Haye is a more experienced fighter, he's a cleverer fighter, in my opinion, and I think Haye now knows what Bellew is going to bring to the table, because I don't think Bellew has a great variety in front of him. So this second fight, for me, will go like this. I think they will come out in the first round a lot more cagey than they did in the second round. I think there will be a lot more feeling each other out, a lot more work behind the jab, moving around the ring, keeping the distance with each other. And I think this is where Haye will come into his own. I think he will start scoring quite heavily with the jab through the first 3 or 4 rounds. And I think as they get to the middle rounds, Bellew will have probably a period of dominance. But I think Haye this time is clever enough to keep himself out of trouble a bit more. And he'll either... I don't think he'll hold on. I don't think Bellew is a type that would do that, but I think he'll manage to catch a lot of punches on the arms and the gloves and what have you, and let Bellew wear himself out. And I predict that it'll be about round 9, 8 or 9. I think Haye will unload a flurry of big punches, which will be too much of Bellew, and the referee will stop the fight. So I can't see it going past round 9, maybe round 10, but I think round 9, that's my judgment. And it will be a win for Haye, which is a win for everybody because it sets up very nicely the third and final bout between the two. which again will generate a few £1 million for each of them. So that's my view on the first fight and my view of this fight. I hope you've enjoyed listening. Please subscribe and give me the thumbs up if you liked it. And I'll be posting more as we go on. Thanks very much. This is Ray Peck. Thank you.